up in a family where you were kind of forced into choices. You could either decide that you wanted to conform, or you could decide that, sort of eccentricity and being different and pushing the boundaries was exactly what you would value. And it really had to do with, you kind of have this choice to either accept or reject whatever your situation is. I started to think more deeply about like what creates happiness. And what I realized was that for me, the answer is you should do things because they inspire you and because they make you happy and they make you feel fulfilled, and not worry about the other stuff, because the other stuff comes from that. I don't know anybody who's really happy, or frankly, actually, particularly successful, if you look at the whole body of success, what success means, whose goal has been, I want to be rich, or I want to make money, or I want to be stable, or whatever it is. The people I know who are truly inspirational, who have done really great things and have real success, are the ones that do things for the passion of it. And the money or the sort of material goods that come from that really are sort of secondary. They're just kind of a result of doing something that makes you happy. So I went to Columbia undergrad, and then I went to UPenn. And so I'm going to start with the first disruptive decision I made for my own life, which was a pretty crazy decision. And I had a National Science Foundation fellowship. I was very hoity-toity. And, I was getting my degree in cognitive psychology, on my way to be a professor, had my job talks lined up at NYU and Duke and University of Oregon, and just a bunch of really good places. And I was on my way to my first job talk at NYU, and I never... because I realized, as I started to panic heavily on the way, that being a professor wasn't the choice that was going to make me happy. That in fact, I had gotten to that point because I was good at being a student. And honestly, being a professor is just being a student. It's just choosing to be a student for your whole life. And I was an excellent student. My whole life, I was an excellent student. I was a good test taker. I was a very good essay writer. Always got good grades. Very diligent. Just a really good student. And I had just kind of gone along and been a student because I was good at it. And I realized that this wasn't making me happy. And I think that, because I had grown up in this household that was so nonconformist anyway, and was so weird and sort of just in disarray, the idea of sending my life into disarray was rather familiar to me at that point. And I just made a decision that I shouldn't be continuing to do something just because I'm good at it. That's actually quite a poor reason to do so. And that I should be doing things because they make me happy, or they fulfill my life, or because they make me a better person, or a more fulfilled person, or whatever it might be. And I decided I was just going to take some time off and think about it. Now, I grew up the single income household school teacher family. So taking some time off, I left graduate school and I went, and I just gotten married, and my ex-husband had bought a house that was this $11,000 house, $125 a month mortgage, luckily. It was really awful. Chicken wire and stucco. It was like 400 square feet. It had no foundation. And it was in the middle of Columbus, Montana, which it's like 40 minutes outside of Billings. I mean, we're talking major like ranch territory. And I was like half Jew, half Episcopalian from New Hampshire, East Coast, as liberal as they come. And I looked around and I said, well, this might have been a bad choice to leave graduate school, but I'm just going to have faith that if you make a choice that makes you happy, that things will actually work out, right? That you shouldn't be making choices to please other people, or because you need money, or whatever it is, because ultimately you're choosing a life of sort of mediocrity and dissatisfaction. I really didn't want to be one of those people who woke up when I was 60 and was like, man, I just didn't really live the life I wanted to live. So I kind of took this leap of faith, and my brother said to me, while you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, there's some poker games up in Billings that are like 40 minutes away. Why don't you go try those out? And my first month I made $2,800 bucks. I was like, I'm rich. So I think it was my first lesson that if you just are willing to say, I want to choose my life because of happiness and satisfaction, as opposed to because of expectations and money, that happiness and satisfaction will not only come your way, but in general, I think economic prosperity will come your way as well. Because I think you just generally do better at things that you're excited about, and you bring more passion to it, and other people recognize the passion that you have for it. The number of people that were willing to talk poker with me and help me strategize at that time in my life, granted, it may have been a little bit because I was like a 24-year-old girl in a world that had like no other women, so they could have been, I don't know, but whatever. I'm going to pretend it was because of my passion for the game. You know, I had a lot of really smart people giving me really great poker advice. I was so into it, you know, I loved it. And I think that I was successful because I was really just willing to spend 12 hours a day learning the game. And I wasn't willing to spend 12 hours a day being a professor, and I think I would have been a somewhat mediocre professor because it wasn't my passion. So, you know, flash forward now, and the second disruption, there's 3 disruptions that happened to me. The second disruption happens now, after now I've decided to be a professional poker player, but I'm doing it in anonymity, which is one of the things about it that makes me very happy. I get a lot of personal satisfaction out of the fact that when I tell people what I do, they have no idea what I do. This is part of my identity. And poker comes on TV, and now all of a sudden, I'm a public person. So this is now another place where I have a choice. I could choose to leave what I love, or I can choose to be passionate about the new environment and figure out how to navigate it. And so I became sort of a little bit disruptive among poker pros because I really was like, hey, this is an opportunity to do something that I'm the most passionate about of all, which is spending my time with my children. At this point now I have 4 children, right? And I started taking this whole idea of branding yourself as a brand very seriously. And I think I said to you before that people were calling me a media whore, and they were doing this and I didn't care because it wasn't about other expectations or people saying she's not behaving like a poker player or she's just trying to be a celebrity or whatever it might be, because I knew that it was the right choice for me. This was going to allow me to spend a lot more time with my children. It was going to allow me to move away from Las Vegas, which is something that I was really wanted to do because I wanted to raise my children in a place that wasn't Las Vegas. I don't know how else to say that. Like, you know, and so I really took that opportunity. I became one of the first endorsers of like a site. I started doing national media and things like that because I sort of recognized that I had this very different story than most people do. I was a woman. That was very weird. I had 4 children. That was really strange. And so I said, oh, you know, this is really great because I'm an anachronism as far as like moms of 4 go, right? But then I'm also an anachronism as a poker player. So I get it both ways. But now I'm really comfortable in that, right? Like now I can just sort of be, you know, people sort of know me and I've got these passive income opportunities and so on and so forth. But during this period of time, I started to become very passionate about players' rights issue. I became very passionate about the player police issues. Started really thinking about what this ecosystem looked like and how would you do something that was like the PGA of poker. Started testifying in front of Congress and lobbying Congress on sort of legislative issues. Started really finding a lot of passion in that. Also was finding a lot of passion in teaching, coming back to teaching on my own terms, because, you know, sort of reaching back to that and saying, now I can come back to this on my own terms in a way that makes me really happy. And started to become really passionate about that. And all of a sudden I realized, you know, honestly, the end point of this newfound, like this new passion that I've come to later in my career is to really do what I've sort of been thinking about, which is this idea of creating sort of a PGA model of poker where the pros are sharing lift and you're not charging them and there's objective qualification and all of this stuff. And that along with that was going to have to come me essentially not playing anymore. Me really just giving up a tremendous amount of income because I had to leave the endorsement world, which is lucrative for a startup. We all know how much startups pay. Not much. And really make those choices. And honestly, it's like when we talked about it that day, I said yes in about 2 seconds. And I think that it's because, you know, I've just had my whole life spending saying, if you don't live your passions, nothing's ever going to work out. And in the end, you just kind of have to have faith that the money is going to work out and you are going to find things and people are going to be able to catch you if you fail. And if you're really passionate about it, you're not going to fail anyway, you know? And the worst, what's better, like having the illusion of a steady paycheck, which is really just an illusion, right? Because you can get fired tomorrow. I mean, it's a complete illusion. The idea, oh, I have a steady job, BS. Like, you could get fired tomorrow. Don't think you have a steady job. Like, you don't. That's actually not secure. Like, what's going to be worse? Like not having your steady job and taking a chance, or living your whole life thinking about what you could have been and how you could have been happy and how you could have created amazing change and how you could have fulfilled your passion. And once you understand that there's no security in anything anyway, you might as well create your own security for yourself regardless, because then at least you have control over your destiny and you have control over the choices that you make in your life.